Hello and welcome to Cardiff for the Welsh Grand Prix of the Sea, round 4 of the 2016 P1 SuperStock Championship. Once again, a fleet of P1 Panther race boats are going to do battle side by side right here in the bay as part of the Cardiff Harbour Festival. And Cardiff makes for a unique setting on the race calendar and format as well. The boats are split up into heats of no more than 4 to accommodate what is a very tight and technical race course, sitting within close sight of the fans who are going to be lining the railings all around. And it's certainly going to be very different to the last time out on the Solent in Gosport, where Pertemps Network found themselves on the podium once again. But not the top step this time, because that honour fell to Experience Kissing Me, as Shelley Jory Lee reminds us now.
The last round in Gosport saw the teams do battle on the Solent, the famously busy stretch of water between the Isle of Wight and the south coast. The Solent can be a very tricky stretch of water to navigate at the best of times, and for the racers it was a weekend of gusting high winds that added an extra challenge and a real shock on the water.
Quantum Racing gets a mouthful of Solent.
Experience Kiss Me made the best of it on Saturday.
Their first ever P1 SuperStock Championship win. What a performance.
And this continued on Sunday, and they took a first and a second place and the overall win.
Going up to take the checkered flag, which they do. It's victory for Neil and Jason Jackson, and that's what it means to win in P1 SuperStock.
We nailed it. It was really, really pleasing.
Pertemps Network, as always though, weren't too far behind, and just 9 points separated the top 2 teams.
I was over reading it, spoke to John overnight, he told me a bit more about what to do, and went out the next day. If I'd have known that on the Saturday, we might have been on the top step, I don't know.
Rawbank Racing did incredibly well, overcoming mechanical difficulties and putting themselves into a very well-deserved 3rd place.
So here we are then, another race weekend, and Shelley, this is a very different venue to last time out on the Solent and Gosport. This is a great stadium, isn't it?
It's like an amphitheatre for racing. I mean, we've got crowds literally all the way down the course.
Yeah.
They can see everything. It's very close, tight action. I mean, it's great. The atmosphere is brilliant.
And because of the nature of the tight course here, Shelley, as well, we won't see all of the boats racing at the same time. They're going to be split. Yeah,
we've got 4 boats running at a time in heats. We've got 2 heats today, 1 heat tomorrow, and then your points will be collated. The plate final will be the lower teams in points, and then all your top running 4 boats go into the grand final for the championship.
And it's exciting as well because it will be points from the off today as well, and it all starts with a timed run. 1 at a time then round the race course, 20 points for the fastest boat, and of course this will determine where you sit in those heats throughout the course of the weekend. So there's a lot at stake right from the off.
So the qualifying times will decide the grid positions for the heats. Plenty at stake for the crews to think about. Experience Kissing Me, that's Neil and Jason Jackson, posted a time of 1 minute 53.68 seconds.
We managed to hold speed pretty well at the top end, 1, 2 and 3, and then when you come down here it's very tight, and it's the balance between overshooting the buoy and keeping the corner nice and smooth or cutting in tight.
3rd quickest in the session was Rawbank Racing, 1 minute 49.27, just a 10th faster than South Street. Sam and Daisy Coleman of Pertemps Network would go on to record 1 minute 47.8. That would see them qualify in 2nd.
So Sam, good news for you. Qualifying went well. You got the 2nd fastest time.
Yeah, I was pumped about that. I think we're on pole for our first heat now as well, so it gives us a bit of a benefit for our first heat, and then it's mixed up for the ones after that. So yeah, it's looking good.
Top of the charts, though, is Quantum Racing, half a second quicker than Pertemps Network. So delight for John Donnelly and Kevin Burdock. Is that a sign of things to come?
Fantastic start to the weekend, boys. Fastest out there on the qualifying lap. Just tell us how it went.
Yeah, it was good. You know, it's a bit of vindication for me. I obviously set the fastest lap last year and wanted to do the same this year. We managed it, and not as big a gap as I'd like it to be, but yeah, it was pretty good.
It's brilliant. It's given us some points, and you know, it's part of our plan to catch back up in the championship.
So congratulations to Quantum Racing. They're posting the fastest time in that opening timed run. 20 points for them then to go forward for the weekend. And of course, we now have our heat order. Heat 1 about to go out, and it's Pertemps, E-Marine, Typhoon and South Street. Let's see how they all do.
Before we see any action, let's check out the course here at Cardiff. It's very tight, the tightest circuit of the entire campaign, and they're complemented by some very fast straights. The first heat of the weekend about to get underway. Pertemps Network, E-Marine, South Street and Typhoon. The green flag is raised, they're away. There will be a pit lap to take in, just as there has been in previous rounds. However, due to the nature of the course, it's already been determined on which lap they have to take the alternative route. It looks to be Pertemps Network and South Street who are powering ahead. It's not the best of starts for E-Marine or Typhoon, and that's who we now ride with. They went very well here last year. Kevin Hunt was navigating then. He now has Carl Turner alongside him doing that feat. Ian Brusby's returned to P1 SuperStock this year. He has Andy Yeo navigating for him. They're currently second, with E-Marine racing in third. Glenn and Lee Norval keeping it tight as they can around the turn, but going across the wake of South Street. The second fastest qualifiers and title challengers, Pertemps Network are living up to their billing as potential pre-race favourites in this heat, and they'll be happy with the lead that they've built. Back with South Street and Ian Brusby aiming the nose of his P1 Panther at the boy ahead. He'll square off the turn, whereas Pertemps Network with a wide approach will try and keep the speed high. It doesn't look like being a repeat of 2015 for Typhoon in these early stages. It would appear, but remains to be confirmed, that South Street have not taken their pit lap when they were supposed to. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Daisy Coleman issuing instructions to brother Sam about when they have to do their compulsory pit stop. Remember, they have to take it at a pre-designated lap in the race. Typhoon were 8th fastest of the 10 boats in qualifying, so perhaps not too surprising to see them at the back. No surprise to see Pertemps Network powering toward yet another checkered flag. There it is, so Sam and Daisy Coleman get off to a winning start at the Welsh Grand Prix of the Sea. That's the first part of the job done, and there's another 3 heats before they race again. First heat result of the weekend, and sweet reading for Pertemps Network, who fired another championship shot across the bows of their rivals.
So congratulations to Pertemps Network. They're taking a very valuable 20 points in that first heat. Next up, though, as part of their Heat 1 race, we're going to see Quantum Racing. These guys were fastest in qualifying, and Rawbank as well, 3rd fastest. Let's see how they do as we head out to the start.
The yellow flag still being displayed. But there is green, it's go, go, go. Just 3 craft this time. Quantum Racing with the inside line, Rawbank Racing in the middle, and Experienced Kissimmee on the right. And that looks to be the order that they're settling into. Quantum Racing from Rawbank Racing, from Experienced Kissimmee. Stuart Curitan back behind the wheel of Rawbank, reunited with wife and navigator Sarah Curitan after his accident at Greenock in the Scottish Grand Prix of the Sea. Experienced Kissimmee have been busy in the run-up to this event, spending a lot of time in the water, practicing their starts, etc. John Donnelly was the man to beat last year. He was piloting Typhoon then, but now it's with Quantum Racing, so he likes this type of racing within the constraints of Cardiff Bay. Experienced Kissimmee at the back and trying to find a way past Rawbank Racing as they power along these very fast straights. Remember, they all have to take their pit laps at the correct time. That's an extra responsibility for the navigator this weekend, to not only relay information on where the other boats are, but also to make sure they take their lap at the correct time, or they could be penalised. And if that were to be the case, then all of this hard work could be for nothing. Neil and Jason Jackson getting a soaking from Rawbank Racing, but it's part and parcel of powerboating. It's looking very comfortable for Quantum Racing, and no surprise given their performance in qualifying. Checkered flag at the ready for Quantum Racing. So it's victory for John Donnelly and Kevin Burdock. And you have to fancy that won't be the last time we see that happening this weekend. So a win for Quantum with Rawbank in second. So a positive return to action for Stuart Curitan with Experience Kissimmee third. The third and last of the first set of heats, with Pickford's the quickest of this bunch in qualifying. They have the inside line, but Visit Wales looking strong on the outside. They have a rookie crew this weekend. They were 1 minute 57.5 in qualifying. They were a tenth of a second slower than Arthur J. Gallagher, who we now ride with. That's David Taft and Andy Cousins. It's Pickfords who have their nose in front, plus they have the advantage of the inside line into the first buoy. They lead from Arthur J. Gallagher, and then it's Visit Wales. We're on board with the rookies, Andy Foster and Charles Morris, just tucking in behind Arthur J. Gallagher. Having qualified the quickest of this trio, Pickfords playing it by the form book. Looking back at Visit Wales, who are trying everything in a bid to stay with and then pass their rivals if they can. It's all about having the boat trimmed on this fast course, and that means keeping it as flat as possible as you power across the surface. Experience looks to have been the key for Pickfords as they take the win in the last of the first set of heats. They've not been troubled in this one. The checkered flag is waving to greet Pickfords Racing as they get their weekend off to the best possible start. So it's Visit Wales in third, second is Arthur J. Gallagher, and Pickfords Racing in the #1 spot.
So that's it for Heat 1 here in Cardiff. All of the teams now have been around the tight race course and had a chance to get their eye in. Let's see how they all do for Heat 2 when we come back right after this. Hello and welcome back to Cardiff, where the Welsh Grand Prix of the Seas continues. And after Heat 1, it's Vin and John in Quantum Racing who have made the best of it and appear to have their boat tuned in and running just right.
You think you've got it in the bag already?
It's never guaranteed, but you know, feeling very confident at the minute. Boat's running brilliantly. We've certainly got the speed. Certainly know how to get around this course quickly. So hopefully we'll do what we do best and pull it home.
Well, this weekend, the rookie racers who had a very steep learning curve were Charles and Andy at the helm of visitwales.com. And they very kindly allowed me to jump into the hot seat to learn what it's all about. So this is it, I finally made it into a P1 Panther, the Visit Wales boat, looking great in the sunshine here, Shelley. I just wish I could actually take it for a spin. But tell us about some of what's going on here. What does the driver have to look at when we're out on the water?
All you're interested in is basically the wave pattern in front of you, okay?
Right.
You've got trim here, which is just literally those fingers, yeah? So you can trim your engine up or down,
right?
Which is going to give you extra speed, or if you're in the chop, like sort of maybe at Bournemouth next week, we want to trim it in and keep it down when it's choppy.
Yeah.
You're trying to get the boat over the waves as fast and as safe as possible,
yeah,
but at the maximum speed.
Over on your side, what have you got?
So this would be my chart. In here I'd have the course all laid out, big picture, graphics. Here is the pit laps. Sometimes this is done by a pen and a marker, sometimes it's done by, you'll see a lot of tear-off tapes on the boats. So it's very clear to both of you in the boat what you've talked about, what you've prepared in the morning, and there it is. I've also got trim on this side as well, so sometimes you'll find that the navigator is actually trimming the boat up in and out.
Wow.
I'm not sure about that. I think the driver needs to do it personally. You're the one with the foot on the throttle.
There's a lot going on, and the two people in the boat have got to be synced.
Massively synced. They've got to be synced, but you've also got to have a massive amount of trust.
Yeah.
You look forward, I'm the one going, he's on your left, he's on your right, you've got to put your foot down, you've got to give him space on this corner. There's so much going on in this little cockpit. A lot of work.
Get us 2 helmets, let's get going. Let's see what happens then as we head out for our next batch of heat races, as we join your race commentator, Dave Moore.
4 craft in this one, and experienced Kissimmee need a result, having come third in their opener. Neil Jackson getting on the power as the green flag goes up, and already they're pulling away from Pickford's and Visit Wales, but it's Quantum Racing who get the whole shot, and they are looking for their second heat win on the bounce. Fastest in qualifying and looking like a cert to make it through to the grand final. Pickford's are dropping off, with Visit Wales not too far behind. David Toos-Hobson with Martin Robinson alongside, focusing on the job ahead, and that is experienced Kissimmee and Quantum Racing who continue to set the pace. They're taking a wide but fast approach into the buoy, which they have to do on a tight course such as this. Neil and Jason Jackson have already been beaten by John Donnelly and Kevin Burdock of Quantum Racing in the previous heat. The only white water that's being ripped up is not by the wind, but by the Mercury Racing propellers. The one thing experienced Kissimmee didn't want to see is Quantum Racing disappearing off into the distance. The race leaders cutting in from a wide approach, whereas the Jacksons will go in tight, but will exit quite wide on a tight circuit such as this. Andy Foster and Charles Morris dropping off the pace, perhaps not surprising as they're up against some very experienced crews. Pickford's Racing looking steady in third. They've dropped Visit Wales, but unable to make inroads on the first 2 craft. It's all going to plan for Quantum Racing. They have one more heat after this and already have 1 foot in the grand final. It's a second successive heat victory for Quantum Racing at Cardiff Bay as the checkered flag brings to an end the first of the second set of heats. 4th for Visit Wales, then with Pickford's Racing adding a 3rd place to their earlier heat victory. Experienced Kissimmee a 2nd with Quantum on top.
We've got a tough heat on the next one to come. That's going to be the toughest of the lot. That's Rawbank and Pertemps and Kissimmee. So that's the fastest boats out there in one heat. So that's really going to be a one to shake things up.
I pride myself in the work that John does and the amount of effort that both myself and him have put into the boat. We've worked hard on her, so she's a good boat. She's looking after us this weekend. And it's Cardiff, and it's sunny, and I love it.
The second heat about to get underway. Championship challengers, Pertemps Networks are favourites for this one, and already pulling away from Typhoo, who've struggled to get their boat set up for this weekend. No such problems for Pertemps Network, but Arthur J. Gallagher back in third. That is David Taft and Andy Cousins. But Sam and Daisy Coleman are flying. They won their first heat, and no surprise to see them pulling away as they are doing in this one. Arthur J. Gallagher took a 3rd place in their first heat, and unless they can do something about Typhoo, then they're on for another 3rd. It's much better from Typhoo, it would seem, but the Colemans are, dare I say, cutting the mustard out front. There's another set of heats to come tomorrow morning before the grand final takes place. Big crowds here this weekend. It's all part of the Cardiff Harbour Festival. Evan Hunt and Carl Turner, and it's all about teamwork. All the boats are identical, so it boils down to the quality of the crew inside, the driver and the navigator. Around the final buoy they come, and even though they weren't feeling too confident at the start of the weekend, you can bet they have broad smiles under those visors right now. It will be a second heat win for Pertemps Network. There is the checkered flag. Pertemps Network with a very comfortable margin. They are a long, long way ahead of their rivals. Second place for Typhoo, and Arthur J. Gallagher come home 3rd, but there's no stopping Pertemps Network.
It was a case of trying to keep our noses clean and do as well as we could. Qualified really well as we could have expected. I was chuffed with that. Like I said, John's an expert around here, John Donnelly. So we qualified behind them, and then in our heat races we managed to pull off with 2 wins. So it's we're in the hunt for the weekend honours at the moment. So if we can keep our noses clean tomorrow, and try and aim for that podium will be buzzing.
To be honest, we're feeling the pressure a little bit because obviously we are being hunted at the minute. Everybody's gunning for us. We came out qualifying. We were really pleased with it. We didn't expect it. Like Sam's already mentioned, that John Donnelly is the master here, and to be so close to him, we're just really, really pleased. We can ask for more.
So the final 3 boats then are about to head out for what is their Heat 2, and all eyes will be on that one, number 21, South Street. DQ'd in their first race for getting that pit lap wrong. Let's see if they can get it right this time.
Green flag is raised. We're racing. Rawbank racing in the middle of this trio with Ian Brusby and Andy Yeo of South Street desperately looking to put their earlier disqualification behind them when they were penalised for failing to take their pit lap at the correct time. Glyn and Lee Norval of E-Marine Racing with a second place finish in their first heat, but struggling to get away this time. South Street aren't struggling. In fact, they're surging past Rawbank Racing as they take the lead. Even if they win this one, any hope they have of making the final will have gone following that earlier disqualification. It's not been the start E-Marine Racing was certainly hoping for. Cardiff Bay is fantastic for fans. It's a natural amphitheatre. Whether they're at St David's Hotel or Mermaid Quay, on the barrage or at the Norwegian Church, they have a fantastic view and get up close and personal to the action. South Street on their pit lap, and they've taken it at the scheduled time. They didn't in their first heat and were then punished. The navigator's role is essential. They're constantly looking around to see what the other boats are up to, which is vital when you're doing 70 miles an hour at such close quarters. The driver is focused on looking ahead and driving the boat, and the navigator is giving feedback. They wanted a win, and they've got one. It's victory for South Street. So a win for South Street with E-Marine in third, and second place goes to Rawbank Racing.
Sarah, great result today.
It is really flat. It's just so weird to everything else we race. It's completely different, and because the boats are actually quite spread out, you're not constantly jumping backwards and forwards. So for a nav, it's actually easy. You just got to get your pit lap right.
So that's the end of a great day's racing here in Cardiff, and Shelley, it's all quiet out on the water right now, but we saw some good action.
Great action. I mean, it's fast and furious out there. The corners are tight, and they're taking them at top speed. As you can see, that can go horribly wrong. But everyone played safe, and they've got some great points and good, fair racing.
But Quantum Racing, Shelley, they're the guys that have made the best of it, fastest in qualifying and winning both their heats.
They just love this kind of setup. They love flat water, short course, corners. I mean, they're holding the record on Lake Coniston at the moment for the Panther. It's just made for them, but they proved today that they can do it again and again.
Well, they've got to do it again tomorrow, and of course, don't forget, one more heat race before all those points get totaled up, and we'll see the 4 teams that make it through to the plate final, and then the top 4 teams who'll be fighting out for that Grand Prix final here in Wales. Join us for day 2 then, when we come back. Welcome back to day 2 here in Cardiff, where the Welsh Grand Prix of the Seas continues, and we're standing here this morning under bright blue skies. The water looks like a brilliant blue glass, and Shelley, I think it's safe to say that, you know, this is the calm before the storm, isn't it? Today's the day.
It certainly is. It's a beautiful day, but in P1 racing, today is all to play for.
Yeah.
Heat 3, there's a lot of battles going on.
Well, we've got the Grand Prix final, of course, which is what all the teams want to be in. 4 boats can make it to that. The next 4 boats make it into a plate final, and the final 2 boats, well, they'll take no further part. We think we're assured of 2 boats making to that Grand Prix final, Shelley.
Yeah, I think Quantum Racing and Pertemps Network are pretty much in the Grand Prix final, but it's the middle pack that are all to fight for. I mean, Kissimmee, I'm really surprised they're in that pack.
Yeah.
I saw them out testing last week when I was testing, and they were doing a lot of work for today, a lot of work for the whole weekend, and it's just not paid off.
I think you've got 2 clear boats, Quantum and Pertemps, who are competing for first and second, but I think there's a raft of 6 of us going for that 3rd place, so it's going to be exciting out there today.
you've got a big fight to get into the grand final.
We have, yes, and I've got a bit of a trump card up my sleeve. I've employed a guy called Mike Tyson to come along and sort that pack out for me. No, all joking aside, yes, we know that, and we know that we have to win the heat. We are 100% focused on our heat. If we win the heat, we've got a damn good chance of getting into the A final, and then with a bit of lady luck, we may get on the podium.
So Charles, first day of P1 Panther racing for you yesterday. How did you find it?
Absolutely incredible, the biggest buzz in the world, and happy to be here. We've gained a couple of places. We started off at the bottom because the boat wasn't running right with the previous people, but we've come up 2 places for various reasons. Got round in one piece, didn't hurt anybody, and see what we do today now.
A SuperStock weekend isn't just about the boats. The jet skis come out to play as well. Aquacross has just gone from strength to strength year on year.
I think every year it's getting bigger and better, and the publicity's getting better, so obviously it's attracting more riders, and obviously you look around and it's professional, so people want to be a part of this. So yeah, it's definitely getting bigger every year now.
I mean, it's good, affordable race and a good platform to start off if you're a novice. I mean, everyone's helpful, and it's just the venues you go to, riding in different parts of the country. It's not just the racing; it's sort of a way of life and mini holidays, if you like.
And camaraderie as well. Just looking behind you there, the Welsh boys there with the flag, giving you support. Well, English boys. That's exactly it. English boys giving the Welsh boys support. This is what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Actually, yeah, every nation here, isn't it?
Last time out in Stokes Bay and round 3 of the UK Championship in the P1 Aquacross Enduro 300 class. Well, they were powerless to stop Phil Pope from taking his 3rd straight round, and with it, his 6th straight race victory. And so it would be in Cardiff. The championship leader Pope already has one hand firmly on the UK title with a 40-point lead over 2nd place Joe Harvey. Pope's the reigning champion, and he made it a winning total of 9 races in a row. It looks like Harvey may well turn his focus to holding on to 2nd spot, where he has only a slender lead over Chris Leach in 3rd place. Only something out of the ordinary can stop Phil Pope being crowned 300 champion.
Well, great action once again from P1 Aquacross, but it's now time to turn our attention back to the Panthers and Heat 3.
We've got a tough heat coming up. There's no guarantees in anything. We'll do our best, but everything's running okay for us at the moment. We've had a fantastic weekend, can't ask for better. 3 out of 3 so far. The next one's going to be slightly challenging because there's 2 other good boats in that heat drawn against us, and they're quick boats and they're really good guys, so we'll do our best.
The yellow is dropped and the green is raised, and the first of the 3rd and final set of heats is underway. Once they've been completed, the top 4 boats will contest the grand final, while the next best 4 will battle it out in the plate final. And they will be awarded championship points as well. Sam and Daisy Coleman in Thames Network are the brother and sister crew from Saundersfoot, South West Wales, and they have been the team to beat this season. The Pembrokeshire pair are leading the championship table coming into this weekend. It's a cracking start from not just them, but also Quantum Racing. Both crews have each won their 2 previous heats, so someone is going to lose their unbeaten record in this one, and it could prove more than just a position on the results sheet. Both outfits seemingly in the grand final, so there's a possible psychological advantage as well. And at the moment it's Thames Network who have the upper hand.
So this is it, the heats are underway, and it's Gallagher who's making their first gambit on their pit lap down here to the bottom end of the bay. Points on offer, don't forget to get them to that all-important Grand Prix final. Let's see who's going to take it.
2 second place finishes in their 2 previous heats, and it looks like Royal Bank Racing will have to settle for a place in the plate final. This is very much Quantum Racing's territory, so this is a massive twist in the championship tail. The Thames Network, the series leader, will take the checkered flag and make it a clean sweep of wins. Unbeaten in all three of their heats here in Cardiff, and they've triumphed over their rivals, who began the weekend as favourites. Arthur J. Gallagher in fourth behind Rawbank, Quantum in second, but through to the grand final where they'll take on Thames Network once again. We're away with the penultimate heat of the weekend. It's not as humid as it was yesterday, but still quite warm. South Street looking for their second win, while experienced Kissimmee are also looking for the win, which could take them through to the grand final. Pickford's Racing also have a heat win to their name, and they have the inside line. Can they make that work to their advantage? South Street have the lead, while experienced Kissimmee, who started wide, have run right in Pickford's wash. This is not where experienced Kissimmee wanted to be, and they're closing in, but they don't want to get too close to Pickford's Racing. And that is close. Whether this will be enough for South Street to make the plate final remains to be seen. 2 wins but a disqualification in the first heat. All they can do is triumph in this one and see what happens. We'll have to see what takes place in the final heat. Experienced Kissimmee have made their pit lap work for them, and they are now ahead of Pickford's. A triumphant wave of the hand from Andy Yeo, and a punch in the air too from Ian Brusby. Pickford's Racing have to settle the third, with experienced Kissimmee in second and South Street in top spot. The final heat of the weekend is underway, and a win for E-Marine should put them in the grand final. However, Taifu are looking quick, while Visit Wales and their rookie crew, well, they're not expected to push for the win. Kevin Hunt and Carl Turner of Taifu slotting into second, and having previously scored a third and a second too, it's between them and E-Marine as to who will take the fourth and final place in the grand final. Right now it's E-Marine who hold the aces. Glenn Adley Norval, their father Doug was also a powerboat racer, so racing on water very much a way of life for their family. If things stay as they are, then Taifu will slot into the plate final. Visit Wales, that's the rookie crew of Charles Morris and Andy Foster, will miss out on a place in either final, along with South Street. It's a place in the grand final for E-Marine as they win the final heat of the weekend. Confirmation then with Visit Wales in third, Taifu in second, and E-Marine in the #1 spot.
So that's it for the heats. All the points have been totaled up, and we now know our 4 teams that will make it through to that plate final, and perhaps more importantly, the 4 that are going to make it through to the Grand Prix final. Join us after the break for all the action. Welcome back to Cardiff, where the Welsh Grand Prix of the Seas is almost reaching its grand finale. And Shelley, this is what it's all been about. The points from qualifying, the points from the heats, has put the teams into the 2 finals. And first we've got the plate final and then the Grand Prix final.
Yeah, the plate final is the runners-up final, so they're the guys that didn't make it into the grand final.
4 boats in that one.
Yeah, they've got their own competition now. Got to hand it to Kissimmee. They're very disappointed they didn't make it into the grand final. They missed it by points. I think they're going to be the plate winners. And then the grand final, it's got to be Thames and Quantum. I mean, that's a war, and that's battle that we're going to see this afternoon.
Yeah, and they were equal on points, and their start positions for that grand final we're about to see, it was all down to the qualifying times.
Yes, and Quantum have got it. So Quantum are on the inside line. They've got that pole position lane, and on a short, fast course like this, that is really important.
Great stuff. Well, the good news is we don't have to wait any longer. So let's see who can do what as we head out to the start line for that plate final with your race commentator, Dave Moore.
The boats taking their positions under the yellow flag. Experienced Kissimmee, Pickford's Racing, Taifu and Arthur J. Gallagher. That's how they line up. It's all eyes on the flag, which will swap for a green one. There it is. Away we go. Championship points at stake, so lots to play for, even though this isn't the grand final. Experience Kissimmee scored their first ever race win at the previous round in Gosport, so they will be disappointed to have only made it this far. It looks to be a three-way fight out front, with Pickford's not getting the best of starts. Typhoon perhaps just edging ahead of Arthur J. Gallagher, but it's Experience Kissimmee who are out of picture that look to be leading, and there they are. Riding with Kevin Hunt and Carl Turner in Typhoon, who've confessed to struggling this weekend. However, the teams really enjoy coming to Cardiff because they always get a warm welcome here. Pickfords are back on the power. They've now drawn up alongside Typhoon, having passed Arthur J. Gallagher. David Toos Hobson backs of experience in the P1 Panther, and Martin Robinson, who won the championship last year as a navigator. He's trying to keep an eye on Typhoon if he can, as they battle it out for second. How close is this? Typhoon and Pickford's almost being drawn together like magnets, but the two crews working together and trusting each other and just keeping enough distance between themselves to race quickly and safely. Arthur J. Gallagher just behind those two in fourth, following a promising start. Fans here in Cardiff also able to enjoy the action on the big screen, which has been set up, and plenty to keep an eye on right now as these two continue to duel for second place. But Pickfords have the inside line, and they use it to their advantage. So David Toos Hobson and Martin Robson doing what they need to, and Typhoon dropping back into third. They tried to stay ahead of Pickfords on the run up to the turn, but they just could not manage it. If they can maintain this, then Experience Kissimmee will go some way to dealing with the disappointment of not making it to the grand final. They look very good value for their lead. It's important to have the boat trimmed so it doesn't bounce around across the surface. The P1 Panthers able to hit top speeds of 70 miles an hour, which is fast enough on water. And due to its location, Cardiff Bay, super smooth. And unlike other venues like the Humber Estuary or the Solent, the other circuits on the P1 calendar where tides and offshore winds can have a massive effect. The crews have still got to get the boat set up correctly for Cardiff, but they have a good idea of what it was like beforehand. Experience Kissimmee glinting away in the sunshine. Neil and Jason Jackson seemingly on their way to the checkered flag and victory in the plate final at the Welsh Grand Prix of the Sea. And these conditions, well, this really could be Florida, couldn't it? The checkered flag beckons for Experience Kissimmee. They will win the plate final of the Welsh Grand Prix of the Sea. Second place will go to Pickfords, who had that tight battle with Typhoon on the opening lap, despite not having enjoyed the best of starts. So they will finish runner-up with Typhoon third and Arthur J. Gallagher fourth. This is how the plate final finishes, but also importantly, they receive vital and potentially much-needed championship points.
Time now for the grand final. Can Quantum Racing take another win? Well, let's hand over to Dave Moore and find out.
This is it, the big one, the big guns. It can't be stressed enough how important this grand final is. Once they're lined up to the satisfaction of the starter, then this race can get underway. Quantum Racing have the inside line as away they go, and Patemps Network just to their right. Then it's Rawbank Racing and E-Marine. Rawbank look as if they're being left behind, but E-Marine have their work cut out on the outside of the pack. They'll be happy to slot in ahead of Rawbank by the time they hit the first turn, as Quantum and Patemps Network go side by side. John Donnelly and Kevin Burdock began the weekend as pre-event favourites, and they look to be living up to that billing by qualifying fastest and winning 2 heats as they rock from side to side slightly. But then, of course, they were beaten by Patemps Network in their final heat. However, this is the one that counts. And they squeeze themselves into the lead with Patemps Network in their wake, and it's close between Rawbank and E-Marine for third. So Quantum Racing lead, but if anyone can get past, it's Patemps Network. There's the long pit laps to factor in as well, which can change the look of this grand final. Sam and Daisy Coleman trying to stay close to Quantum, but out of their wake if they can. Rawbank Racing, despite that sluggish getaway, have used the inside line to their advantage and have pushed their nose ahead of E-Marine. It would appear to be two battles being fought out in this final. Quantum still on a wider line than Patemps Network, who were tight but are now crossing their wake to try and power their way past. And if not, then perhaps a fast approach into the next left-hand buoy. It could be a little bit of mind games going on, some keep them guessing tactics perhaps being employed by the Colemans as they swap across the back of the wake, and therefore making it difficult for Quantum to know exactly where their rivals are and what defensive line to take up. Patemps Network are getting a soaking for their troubles as Quantum keep a neat line around the buoy. John Donnelly and Kevin Burdock are out for revenge of sorts, having lost to the Colemans in their heat. More importantly, they need to finish ahead in the race for the championship. Right now, for them, it's all going to plan, but that could change in an instant. E-Marine Racing still holding fourth place. They took a win, a second and a third in their heats, and they'll complete the set if it stays like this. But they haven't given up yet on getting past Rawbank. Stewart and Sarah Curitan have dropped off the pace of the front two. Stewart at first happy to be back following his accident in Scotland, but now the competitive streak will have kicked in. What a race this is. Quantum can't shake off Patemps Network, who refuse to let go. Sam and Daisy Coleman trying everything in an effort to break John Donnelly and Kevin Burdock, but so far unable to. What they can't afford is to let a gap open up. It could come down to who has the best long pit stop. The weather in Cardiff Bay has been fantastic. Nice, warm and sunny. The fans have had a great day. Kevin Burdock keeping an eye on where Patemps Network are and passing on that information to John Donnelly. It's also vital he keeps an eye on when to take the pit lap. Miss that, then it's game over. The checkered flag is ready and now raised and greets Quantum Racing as the winners of the P1 Welsh Grand Prix of the Sea. The level of delight on that Panther right now cannot be measured. Pure joy for John Donnelly and Kevin Burdock. And there's the proof, Kevin Burdock overjoyed by what has just happened. That's what it means to win in the P1 SuperStock Championship. E-Marine take fourth, with Rawbank Racing in third. Patemps Network have to settle for second, and Quantum Racing take top spot. So what does that do to the championship positions? Well, it's all to play for in the final Grand Prix of the Sea, which is just a week away and takes place in Bournemouth. It's going to be a grandstand finish.
Every single lap we couldn't let up. There was no easy bit in that race at all. We put in a turn in the hairpin, which I'm still not quite sure how the boat made round. So, but it did it. So that's the main thing.
I think John's got bored of me screaming at him. Every 5 seconds, I'm telling him where Patemps are, exactly what side of the boat they were, how much distance from us, how to tighten in on the corners. Got our laps absolutely perfect. But it was a real hard fight.
So what a fantastic finale to what's been a brilliant Welsh Grand Prix of the season. Shelley, that final Grand Prix race, Sam did everything he could to try and get past John.
My heart was in my mouth for most of it. It was incredible. Sam, yes, but you've got to hand it to all 4 of those races.
Yeah, true.
John was driving brilliantly. He was cutting them up. Vin was calling the shots for John because he wouldn't be able to look behind. Daisy must have been absolutely feeding Sam information all the time. So those 4 racers have just earned a whole season's racing in one race.
Fantastic stuff. And speaking of a whole season's racing, it's going to come to a close next time we see you on Bournemouth Beach. Those two teams are now top of the championship, and it's likely that one of them will lift the overall crown. Join us for that then next time we see you. But for now, from all of us here in Cardiff, see ya.